What's up, everybody? It's Dan French Workbench Podcast here on a Saturday. Thank you all if you guys are just tuning in or whenever you tune in. Appreciate you guys having us. We are the show that has the channel with the most real and behind-the-scenes information regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs through on-job experience and education here in Las Vegas. We're streaming live in Las Vegas. I got a full crew today. We're going to go around the room and discuss everything. We're going to talk today about real estate updates. We're going to talk about builders and have they stopped really, promoting or really getting into a position of building more homes. Seems like builder permits right now and building starts are down. Building permits are actually up, but building starts are down. We're also going to talk to Brett about an update with what's going on in the Las Vegas housing market. We're going to talk to Mr. Rick Raines about what's happening with the rental sector. And we're going to talk with Esmeralda, and we also have another guest here, which is Tony Gutierrez. So let's get right into it. Mr. Rick Raines, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on again, man. You were great last week. We appreciate you coming on. What's going on with you today?
Love to be here. Excited to be here. I can talk about just about anything, but preferably property management. So
is that it, huh?
That's pretty much it.
That's all you want to talk about.
Well, I'll chime in where I can.
Well, I know we were talking about everybody out at the clubs last night,
Yeah.
right? So everybody was out partying it up. You guys just getting back?
Rick just got in. He came rolling in straight from the club.
Straight here. That was it.
So Rick, where'd you go, man? Did you go to? You went to Aria? Where did you go, man? Where was it?
The Jewel.
That was at the Jewel.
The Jewel.
That's right.
Yeah. We also got Mr. Brett Jenny. Dude, where were you at last night, man? Did you sleep?
No, I was up clubbing all night like I usually do. I mean, I'm like a robot. I just club and party and sell real estate.
Right.
Yeah. Not when I'm 40. Not this age.
What do you think the average night for sleep for you is, man? About 2 hours?
No, I go
like
to
that?
bed. Last night I went to bed at 1:30. I go to bed usually between midnight and 12:30, and I get up at like 5.
And
so
you-
I get like 5 hours.
You wake up with like your heart pumping, like you're ready to go, right? Like you're just like I got to get out. I got to get my right.
Real estate is
I'm
his
stunned
sidekick.
I'm stunned for the first minute. after the first minute, I just kind of I have my most energy in the mornings. That's why I work out in the morning. And it's but so I'm like an old man. You hit me about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, oh, they want me to call them back.
Right, dude.
Oh, the appointment. Can we do that tomorrow?
I
It's
can
like
see you waking
3
up out of your
o'clock,
bed.
man.
You're just like, all right, it's 6 o'clock. All right, I got to get my
Yeah.
coffee. I'm gonna dump my
But
coffee.
I
I got to get something. to eat. I'm
if,
out the door.
You get up at 5, and it's like
Yeah, but I mean,
I can get a lot of work done in that first
wake
hour and
up-
a half, 2 hours.
You wake up going 100 miles an hour. Is that not right?
No,
Oh,
like 95. It takes me an hour to get up to 110, and then by 3 p.m. I'm like 50.
it's that red line you got right there, that crack right there.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, it's legal.
Yeah, right. We also got Esmeralda Lucia. What's going on, Esmeralda, man? Were you out at the clubs too, girl? Where were you at last night?
Actually, yesterday I was at an event. It was a tequila.
That's better than a club. Just stop right there.
It was just only tequila, and that's all I remember. It was just tequila.
No,
and I
honestly,
just
It was a function to donate for this tequila brand, and it was a lot of people, and it was nice.
yeah.
Free shots.
You donated your kidneys.
I didn't donate my kidneys.
Your liver. Sorry, your liver.
Your liver.
Wrong disease.
All right, man. We got Mr. Tony Gutierrez. He's a credit services analyst. What's going on, buddy?
Not much.
You don't tell me you were at the clubs last night too, man. Come on,
I
Tony.
was actually at the gym last night.
Yeah, oh, look at this guy.
Dude, are you kidding me? He was leading the party. That's a band leader at the club.
Hey, is there? Because you know the vibe, man. You go to the gym, and that's where people pick up on women now. It seems
What
like.
gym you
That's
go
what
to?
It is. Like if it depends on the gym, right?
Well, I went to EOS.
Oh, that's
down the
definitely
street.
a pickup spot right there for women.
I went with my fiance, so. there
Oh,
was
okay,
really
maybe
not
not. Did you?
much
Don't
there.
leave her alone then.
It's when she wasn't looking. Hey, baby. No, just
Dang.
So we got a lot of good information today. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening. All right, so let's get into it. Housing starts, right? Housing starts are down. We know that the housing market here is starting to increase in homes. And Brett, we're going to just a little bit. We're going to talk with Brett about that. and I think it's opening up doors. But there's a lot of data out there that supports that builders are really taking this steady as it goes because they figured this out. 2005 to 2008, they flooded the markets with new homes, lost a ton of money, their stocks dropped. And so now it's like, well, do we want to go put ourselves back in that same position? Also with the cost and the demand.
I think with just applying smart business sense, if you're a builder and if they're a national builder, they tend to be pretty decent in business or they wouldn't be national, right? Would be to say, hey, like you said, they learned from the last housing crash, and what happened before that was a housing boom.
Yeah.
And even though the circumstances behind the crash and those loans are completely different, just normal business sense would say, hey, homes have increased 25% in 1 year. I mean, I'm showing a house later this afternoon that was bought for $457,000 last year, and it's on the market for like $610,000, and that's like the market value of it now.
Yeah.
I think that, builders applying common sense or not putting on the brakes, but just starting to be cautious of the fact that, hey, homes have gone up 25%.
What's the average sale for a new home right now?
Like 410. A new home?
New home is a lot more than that. I think it's like, what, 430?
Yeah, probably. I would say closer to 440, maybe 450 for a new home.
Yeah, when you look at the existing homes versus the new home sector, completely different worlds. How it's looked at and how things are going with those two. Well, go ahead.
Look at it this way of kind of what we were talking about last week or week before, which is, so even if that new home, because new homes are going to be more than resale.
Right.
So say you're buying the exact same home, square feet, kind of the same neighborhood, all that good stuff. But obviously you're paying more per square foot, more for the home. So say you're paying $50,000 more for the exact same home, but it's a new home. But with interest rates being so low, that $50,000 more is not the same as if you were actually paying, it was a normal interest rate. That $50,000 more for a new home would definitely impact your mortgage payment. But because interest rates are so cheap,
so what
you're washing itself out, basically, correct?
Yeah, go ahead, Rick. You can say something.
I got another question. How is the price working in relationship to the size, your square footage? So we all see it in the grocery market. You go into the store and whatever it is you're buying is stayed. The price has stayed the same, but the size of the package has gone down. They're giving you 3 ounces less.
Yeah.
What's
so
happening in the housing market?
Well, for the normal house, and you're not going to talk about luxury, $1 million. That's a different market. But like for a normal house, I think the average square foot right now is like $227 or $225 a square foot average. That's from houses built from 1950 to 1 year old.
I'm seeing that in Mountain's Edge.
But what size of houses are they building right now? So
they're building. They're building anywhere between. They're not that excessively large. I don't see too many communities that are doing 3,500, 4,000 or anything. That's very, very few communities. Most of them are anything between single stories of 1,700 square feet to single story or 2 stories that are maybe 3,200 the biggest.
Well, look, it's their world right now, and I say that because there's not a lot of inventory on the market, and they're still increasing. But realistically, we need minimum 3 months, right? They're saying 6 months, 6.5 months.
Yeah.
I think if we got to that level, they would start to reevaluate things.
We're less than a month and a half.
Right, and that's the problem is builders are still dictating what's going to happen with their market or because people are looking for homes. Yes, there's 3,500 homes, 4,500. I think
45 with condos and townhouses.
Right. So that's still not enough homes on the market to change the way that builders are actually doing business right now. And is it strategic? And we talked about it. It is because they could definitely put out more homes on the market if they really wanted to. But I think because of costs and because of what happened in 2005 to 2008, they're slowly bringing this, and they're going to be steady. They're not going to be just, hey, we're going to now that things are back. A lot of this data too that we see is maybe false data a little bit. Where second part of 2020, maybe that data because of COVID and people are at home isn't reflecting what's happening in this market today. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think the builders, they have it like the world at their oyster right now. They have everything. There's not really a lot of competition. They can dictate what they're going to do and sell for the market. Lot premium.
What do you think that they're going to do in the future, in the near future? So again, I'm back to the same example. Prices keep going up, and as we discussed before the show, the higher the price gets, the fewer people that can afford it. Okay, so let's say that you've got a 10-acre plot that Richmond American or whomever Pulte's going to develop, and you would normally put, let's say, somewhere around 40 to 50 homes on there. Well, if you put 60 to 80 homes on there and make them smaller and drive the price down so more people can afford it, is that an option? Are they thinking that way is what I'm trying to get at. Do you
I
think
haven't
they're
noticed
thinking
it.
that way?
I haven't noticed it.
You haven't noticed it?
As far as, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think it's an unhealthy market. I mean, the big thing here is we see the demands there. We see the prices keep going up, but there's not enough data or information.
So it's basically backed up by supply and demand. How's that unhealthy?
Because
That's
the
economics.
prices of homes and the scarcity of homes, we don't have enough homes on the market where that's going to continue to go
The
up.
average price of the home has gone up, including new homes, but I think there's a lot more of a buyer pool with a lot more money moving here than what's been here before. So that
You mean from how long though? Are you talking about 2 months from now? Are you talking about 6 months from now?
I don't know. I mean, I know that we're still a month and a half supply, and we should have 3.5, 4 months supply. So until that starts to get a little more balanced, I think by the end of the year, we'll start to see somewhat of a shift. And I was discussing with Dan earlier this week. When I say somewhat of a shift, I don't see a huge drop. I don't see anything crashing. I just think what I'm starting to notice myself now is, in a sense, exhaustion of some of the buyers, which we kind of spoke
Yes,
about
I
before,
agree.
which is the people who needed to buy and wanted to buy and were making a life shift and going to work remote and just had to move here for whatever reasons. I think they've already bought. And now you have a lot of people who they want to buy and they're going to buy, but they don't need to buy.
Right.
There's nothing where they need to buy it right now. They need to move here right now. They need to secure something right now. So I think those people are kind of putting on the brakes a little bit right now, just because I personally have had 3 or 4 buyers that were in pretty good price points who basically said, we're just going to chill out right now. Builders are out of their damn minds. And even though it's supported by whatever it is, it's the mentality that buyers have right now, which is I'm kind of just going to chill out. And they're not expecting it to crash, but they just don't want to deal with all the crap surrounding it.
There is
right
some
now.
consequence on the other side, though. Let's say you do wait, prices keep going up, and that's why I say it's unhealthy. Is that if you might be pushed out of the market even further, because now what if rates go up? Okay, now your payment's not as low, and then you're looking at, well, if I wait 6 months or a year, what if prices go up to $500,000 for the average median price?
So on one hand, I understand that based on kind of what's been happening. But on the other hand, common sense for me kicks in and says, we've already gone up 25%. Well, we're gonna go up another 25%. I mean, I'm not saying the world couldn't end tomorrow. Anything could happen. But to go up another 25%.
What do you
and
see?
here's a better question is what's going to happen with the interest rates? You tell me that.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen with that? Because if you tell me that in 6 months from now, we're going to be up another point and a half, I'm going to tell you that's, that's
Yeah, but I don't know if that matters as much. I mean, look, you got mortgage applications are down, right, this last week, but because a lot of it was we were up 7 basis points on our rates, right, which is very small. Clients are sensitive, and that's what it is. So I don't know if rates are going to just completely push these buyers out. You go back, I've talked about this before. We got to 5%, and yes, it slowed the market, but it didn't push buyers out completely.
No, I'm not saying it's going to, but it's going to even things out a little bit more, or take at least a little bit of the pressure off of I want to go buy a house and there's 15 offers and people are going 50 or 60 grand over.
What were you going to say, Esmeralda?
That's crazy.
So, in some of the research and some of the conversations I've had with my agents and lenders that I do business with.
Wait a second. You do business with other lenders besides me and agents?
And agents?
Yes, I do.
Dude, why is she on the...
Just like,
Go
ahead,
some
Esmeralda.
of the conversations that we've had. So this is kind of what I've seen in their world is that yes, I agree with what you said, Brett, about the exhaustion with buyers, where they've been through this roller coaster that they don't even care, and that's scary.
I see them exhausted at a lot less of a level.
Yeah, and also where we're talking about interest rates, usually when that happens, if the interest rates go up, it's because they're trying to level out the market. And so I don't think it'll be both. It'll be one or the other.
Well, we don't see a drop though, and I think you look at the housing starts, and that's one of the things we're looking at. Could they be a lot higher? Sure. I don't know if builders in general want that. You look at, and we're comparing this because they lost a lot of money back in between 2005 and 8. I mean, they were flooding the market. They had probably more homes.
They made a lot and lost even more.
Well, they made a lot.
Well, they already made
But they
money
said-
though. They made up and tripled that.
Yeah.
now.
Since then, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's not an excuse.
So
no more.
since
Yeah.
2000, I don't know, like let's say 2008 or 9, they've been slowly they've been doing this where it's just a steady increase where they've kind of balanced it. And unfortunately, because we don't have more homes on the market, I'm not saying you have to go new home. The good thing is we have properties out there now. There wasn't much, but we're over a month's supply.
New home builders wouldn't have nearly the leverage they have right now if more resales were on the market.
100%.
But
and when is that?
that's-
So the question is, we've talked about when that's going to change or what could help that. Now, what do you think, Brett, in your mind, would change that, where we would start to see this increase significantly? Because I don't think rates is the only thing. I don't think raising rates is like, okay, now
What's
we're
going to cause more homes to come on the market?
Well, what's going to help
People
that?
listing their house.
Okay.
I mean, what's going to make that? I think the more that people kind of get used to the new norm, whether it's this back and forth with COVID or whatever it is, I mean, I don't think people are letting it impact them or businesses like they did a year ago. Because it was like, okay, mask off, and then now it's mask back on and all that stuff. But I don't think it's having an impact like it did before. So I think people are starting to get used to the new normal. And I think, it's hard to say because I don't know how many people were not listing their home because they were scared of what's going to happen with the market or their job or whatever it is. So I think that fear may be gone, but I don't. So what, you're going to sell to turn around and buy into that same market now?
I think that there's a lot more homes coming on the market than we realize. And so from personal experience, what's happened in our office is we'll get an owner. I mean, we've got owners, they're not standing in line, don't get me wrong. But comparatively speaking to 2 years ago, they're standing in line to sell their houses. And we don't even get a chance to put them on the market where there's no need. We can make a couple of phone calls and boom, they're already snatched up. So is the market actually increasing? I think that what we see in the MLS statistics doesn't tell us really the full picture. I think there's a lot of properties that come on the market that never hit the MLS.
It'd be interesting to find out, is there any way we can find out what that is?
Well, I don't know.
Because you do have a point. I don't think it's that much of an impact, but I would like to see the statistic on it.
Yeah, I think that, of course, it does make a small impact, but the point or the conversation had to go was around whether or not housing market is expanding and how people are thinking about it. And from what I see, the owners that we deal with, they're all thinking about selling. We get so many calls every day from tenants saying, I need to move because my owner's selling. I need to move because my owner's selling. And you're not seeing that being reflected in the MLS figures. So that just tells me that they're getting snatched up so fast that they don't even get there.
Yeah, so I guess what would sustain a healthier market, where we have more inventory? I guess in your eyes, Rick, like what would you see, or what would, because you've had probably more experience than us, have you seen markets like this where we needed to get more inventory on the market, we needed to have more months supply?
Actually, I did see it, but it was when I was really young, and that was back in the around 1978 when the market, at least in where I was in California, just went nuts.
Yeah.
And I wasn't cognitive enough as to understand what exactly was going on because I was in my early 20s and I just started in real estate.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think we're kind of like that when interest rates then turned around and went up to 18%. And that's when I tried to start my mortgage business. Oh. And actually it wasn't bad thinking. I just went in a few months too early because I figured if I could start it when it was 18, it had to turn around. And everybody that I knew that was in the mortgage industry that was able to survive it when it did turn around they just went nuts.
Absolutely.
with loans.
Yeah, I mean, our rates are low, and I think the hypersensitive people out there that look at rates and they look at what's going on. I mean, yeah, it's important, but I mean, we're still at record lows, and people just don't realize it. I mean, it goes up 3.25%, 3.5%.
That's
They're like,
what I'm
oh
saying.
my
Is
gosh,
we're
man.
so low that even going up a little bit's not gonna.
It doesn't make a difference. Now,
Yeah.
here's where it makes a difference. So if the prices keep going up, that 1/8 of a point starts to make a difference now, because now your payment has a significant amount, not a huge difference, but you know, when you start getting into that $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 range, 1/8 of a point does make a little bit of an impact. Now, is it life changing? No. But still, I think it does make an impact on what's going to happen, and also maybe your decision making. A lot of people don't want to be mortgage broke. You know, a lot of people don't know if now's a good time to do it. They feel like, well, you know, am I going to miss the opportunity? I got people buying second homes, investment homes. They want to buy because they feel that the properties are going to keep increasing and there's nothing showing that it's going to stabilize. And what I mean by stabilize is we have a healthy market where we have a 6-month supply. There's more existing homes in the market, and then there's more to choose from. And it's not like you're just pushed into a specific situation that you don't want to
Statistically
be.
speaking, we're a long ways away from that.
I don't know if we're a long ways away. What about you, Tony? What do you think, man? Do
You
think
said 6 months. We're a month and a half. We're gaining what, 500 homes a week?
I don't know. I
You do
mean,
the numbers.
Yeah, but think about it like this. Just like Mr. Rick said. I mean, Rick said, yeah, you got these people that own these homes that are leasing these homes, but they're sold quickly, right? I mean, do they ever hit the MLS? Barely.
Yeah,
maybe?
so it still sounds like a seller's market to me, huh?
Right.
Yeah, it's a really strong
So
seller's
there you
market.
go.
Yeah, I mean, and so what I'm saying though is the inventory, not the price. Is the inventory going to increase? And that's what about you?
Yeah.
I don't think the inventory is going to increase realistically.
Why?
There's more people buying homes. There's, like you said, there's more people moving into the city, which makes more people want to buy homes.
Still 10 buyers for one home.
And I've also seen, like he said, I have clients that say, hey, I need to build my credit. I need to fix my credit fast, only because the person who owns the house, it's either told me I have 2-3 months to either buy the house or they're kicking me out. So there's a lot of people living in those rentals that are getting ready to buy those rentals.
Well, I've seen that there's a sweet spot of buyers that's going to come into this market. I've been reading some information that between 2020 to 2024, we're going to see a lot more homes potentially come on the market, and then it's going to be
What year?
between 2020 and 2024, and there's going to be a lot more buyers too, just like you said, coming in the market, because there's demographics that people look at, and there's a lot of data. And
I mean, if you're going to go 3 years out,
well, I mean, look at
yeah, I'm sure more homes will
2022.
come on the market next 3 years.
2022. I think the end of this year in 2022, we're going to start to see an influx of properties. We're starting to see it now. It's a very slow trickle of properties coming on the market, but I'm not going to say it's thousands at a time. But as this thing, I mean, look, as the COVID goes, so does the economy, I think, in the market a little bit. So maybe things are going to get to normal to a point, maybe into this year, early next year.
I
What do you
think we can all agree it's uncharted territory in so many different things right now. So we're kind of out here all making not assumptions, but just our own personal
Well, it's just
opinions
it's
based
stuff
on
we
our own
see.
experience. But
Yeah.
who knows, man? I mean, I'll be the first to be like, I could be completely wrong.
Yeah. Rick,
You know, I don't think I am right
I
now.
think it's
but
going to be a long time.
you do.
Yeah, I really do, because what Tony just said is that buyers are increasing. Okay, well, if buyers are increasing, that just means that demand is going up, which means prices are going to go up. And the people that are selling now are the people that have been holding for a long time. They've owned for a long time. At least that's in my area. So they're looking to cash out, but it's going to be a slow trickle of increase, just like Brett's saying. It's going to be a slow trickle of the available properties expanding. But on the buyer side, I think that there's going to be a larger demand coming in, at least to Las Vegas, simply because of the way we continue to grow. So at least in Vegas, I don't think it's going to change much in the near future.
Also, as prices start going up, it keeps bumping people that live in Vegas that could only afford a $300,000 home. Prices are going up, so it's bumping people out of
So
the market.
is it going to be it's going to make people really stay where they're at to a point, right? And if obviously the average, we talk about this a lot, but the average person living in Las Vegas that's been here in Las Vegas, right? That's making, anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000. They're not going to be able to buy a single family residence home, let's say in a year or two. So where does that lead us, right? Where does that head us? Where do we go from there? Esmeralda, you got anything to say on that?
I heard an interesting story, and I just was thinking about that about Rick. So some of my agents said that they were looking for rentals, and the rentals that were available, they didn't even have wash and dryers, but they're renting them out to the tenant. So not only are you renting and you're already paying over, now you're leasing
man.
washers and dryers. And I just was like, oh my God, that's crazy. So have you heard this? Is this
I haven't
normal?
seen that, but I don't think necessarily that it's the owners that are pushing this. It's
The property management?
It's not the property management. It's the companies that own the washers and the dryers. So I'm assuming that they're putting in coin operated or something similar, the same type of thing.
No, you pay them.
Additional?
Like
Just-
$25 or $30.
Just because there's a washer and dryer in there. Okay.
So you're leasing them out, like.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
I was like, oh, I've never heard of that. I was like, that's crazy. So I don't know.
It's it's the same thing. It's the same thing in property management as far as when you sign your management agreement. If you don't look it over and you're looking at one property that's renting for $2,000 a month, and you're looking at another one that's only renting for $1,800 a month, and they're exactly the same. But guess what? This looks so much better, but now they're leasing out the washer and the dryer for $100 a month, and they're charging you to use the garage, and they're charging for this, and they're charging for that. And if you add it all up, it's $2,100 a month. It's actually more. But if you look at the rental price that's being advertised, it's $200 less. Wow. Everybody floods over to this one. They get it leased up quick. Boom.
Well, here's what I can say. I think builders, I don't know if they're contributing to the problem, but think about it like this. What if you had more new homes to choose from? What if you had properties where if you say there's 10 buyers for every home, that's what you said. Well, what if they put out more lots and now there's 5 buyers for every home? Doesn't that help the inventory a little bit? Because now you got to think of all angles. You got to think, does it make sense? And is this path, where am I at in this position? Does it make sense to go buy a new home? Or is it, am I going to get more money for existing home? Should I wait for an existing home that I want versus I'm going to jump in the rat race and buy a new home just because I'm going to get a lot? I'm coming from a different state or somewhere else. It doesn't mean don't go buy a new home, but really do your research and do your homework.
I think that type of buyer is starting to increase more, but I think we're still a long ways off before we catch up.
Right now, I don't think so. Only because everybody wants to get a house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
it.
We still got,
Wants to get a house. So
Everybody's trying to figure out how to get a house. Now, I feel that the competition set part of it, it's like, well, I don't have to compete against anybody by going to a new home, but you actually do.
You have to compete more.
That's right.
Because
there's a misconception of that. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to just go buy a new home and I'm going to get a lot. Sometimes you're 20, right?
Or look at it this way. Okay, I go write an offer on a $500,000 house, and I'm going against 20 offers, and now I'm paying $550. Well, at least you find that out right away. A freaking new home, you got to be on a waiting list, wait 2 or 3 months for them to come back and be like, oh, by the way, now you're going against 200 people, and it's $100,000 more. I mean,
Rick,
pull me out of my misery right away.
Right.
You know?
Listening to everything that's going on here, I just, at least in my mind, realized that probably one of our greatest indicators is not necessarily how many new homes are being built or how many homes are on the market, but in actuality, what the builders are doing with the new homes that they have. So as an example, all the incentives are off and this and that and all that other stuff is in place. Well, they're not stupid. They know that they can get this. And as the demand goes down, they're going to start giving incentives. They're going to start doing this stuff.
Come back.
And it's going to come back. And that's going to be your first indication.
Yep.
Because they've got their thumb on everything that's going on. And so, and there's other things that are driving the prices up. Like Izzy said earlier, one of the things that's difficult right now is getting raw materials. If you don't think that's not playing a part, it is. Wood, chemicals, cement.
It went up 25%.
All
you
of that
guys.
stuff.
25%.
Trucking is impacted right now. They can't get the stuff in. And so that could also be a contributing factor as to why they're not building as quickly. Okay? It's a long process. And any one of these things that hiccups screws up everything. So that's just
Well, it
something
goes-
else to keep in mind.
100%. It goes back to this, though. And we'll just kind of leave it, and we'll go to a different topic. We're going to talk to you here on property management and talk to Brett about an update. But the average buyer out there that's living in Las Vegas, the average person that's actually looking at this going, can I actually afford a home? Is there going to be a point where it's going to be so far out that they're not going to be able to buy, which I think we're starting to see that now? Or is it going to be, hey, we're going to start to see a flood of properties come on the market? Which one you think is going to come first? Where we're going to see more inventory, or you're going to see the average buyer pushed out of the market?
I think there's going to be more inventory, only because houses should start coming down in the nets. I mean, usually when summer comes, most people buy houses in, right? And then when winter comes, less and less people start buying houses. Also, unemployment's about to end. There's a line of 70 people, I think, or no, 72 days. It's what the wait time is to be able to collect unemployment. So unemployment's about to end. There's gonna start being more people looking for homes, and
Yeah, but are they going to have the ability to buy a home? Basically, because like I said, is the market going to be dictating that the average Las Vegan or the average person out there making $50,000 to $100,000,
So-
are they going to be able to afford a house?
Maybe just go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's I don't. I kind of disagree with the side that Tony's on, and I think that more people are going to be pushed out of the market for a couple.
I agree.
For a couple of reasons that you've brought up. One is, and I don't mean to get political, but there are a lot of people leaving a lot of large cities that
Yep.
are disagreeing with what's going on,
Yep.
and they're moving to places that are typically more affordable in comparison, and they can afford to buy whatever it is they want, or at the very least help keep our prices here up. And so consequently, other people, again, they're going to get priced out, and that's simply because of the influx of people from all over the country that have the money and the means. A perfect example is New York, where the mayor had been begging people not to move out, and those people have money and they're buying wherever they land. And it's the same thing as what people are moving in here.
Look at the head.
Got our opinions on it. I think
All
we
right.
got mixed reviews on this whole thing with the new homes. There's less home starts, more permits, but it just seems like the builders are strategically doing this thing. So we're going to kind of go into a different direction here. Talk with Mr. Rick Rains. Rick, what's happening in the rental sector? And also, how do you pick a good person, or not a person, but a good company to choose, let's say, for property management?
Boy, so right now we're talking to the owners, from an owner's perspective or from a tenant's perspective?
I would say let's start with the tenant's perspective first. I think everybody wants to know that part first.
Boy, the only thing that I can say on that is that you need to do a little bit of research, make sure that check the reviews online. Obviously, if you know someone who's been renting from a particular property manager, get their feedback as to how they've been treated.
What do you think the average rents are right now across the board, would you say?
Average rents are probably somewhere in the vicinity $1,500 to $1,600 average.
Okay, and how big of a home do you think you'll be able to get on that?
Not real big.
One
Probably-
bedroom, two bedroom, three
Oh,
bedroom?
Yeah, 2 to 3. Some 2 bedrooms are going for that much. So yeah, 3 bedroom if you're lucky. If you go much 4 bedroom that's even fairly new, you're going up over 2,000. So
Yeah. So like as somebody out there that's looking to rent a property, let's say you're renting from one place to another place. It's scarce, slim pickings, right? And so
Slim pickings.
yeah. And so what do you do? Like, how do you get your maybe get that foot in the door ahead of somebody else? Is there real competition like there is in the housing market where they're outbidding each other?
they're not outbidding each other, but you cannot wait 1 second. I mean, if you find a place that just came on the market, and I'm not joking, if you wait an hour to go see it or to get an application in, you're already behind.
Submit the application, then go see it.
Pretty much.
I mean, seriously.
No, it's really
Good idea.
it's really close to that. So
it's
and,
like-
and,
it's like
and
the-
most property management companies, at least for mine, we're not going to rent to you unless you have seen it.
Yeah.
That doesn't prevent you from putting in an application
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah, it's like you go to the housing market. It's like hours on the market, right? Remember how it was like,
Yeah.
well, you got so many days. You don't got that. You don't have
got
that
that.
opportunity for renting.
Renting.
Yeah. So, what other things can renters look towards? Like as far as okay, I can submit my application to get into this house. What other tactics or things that maybe would help or will promote them to get into that house if there's somebody out there that's looking to rent here in Las Vegas? You think?
Well, number one, you got to remember. Well, first of all, when you fill out your application, fill it out completely. You would be surprised at how many people leave 25% of it blank, thinking that the property manager is going to quote understand. And
Something people don't like in financing. I understand.
Yeah, right.
No, dude. I need a.
we need to see it, but it happens so frequently.
God, that's funny.
It's really
So
it's
a
really
detailed
thing.
application.
Detailed application,
All right.
and that's number one. And number two is make sure that you don't fudge anything. You know, everybody has problems. Everybody has situations. We get it. We understand. And if you try to hide something or fudge something, and we find out, that's your
Doesn't look good,
It
Smalls.
doesn't look good. Your application is going to get set to the side. It's that simple. So it's for a lot of people it's difficult, but that's what you got to do, and you have to remember. And I apologize to some listeners out there, but if you have problems on your application, there isn't anybody who made it that way other than yourself.
Right.
So you got to take
Listen,
responsibility.
you're trying to make people take responsibility.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
What are
make
you? What are you
people-
doing?
I don't know, man. It's the world has changed.
asking a lot.
That's asking a lot. I know.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think a lot of it too is that everything's at your fingertips and it's convenient. And I think as we keep going, one is that there's less things that you have to worry about. Like for instance, if you go do things online, it's easier. Life is easier overall. And I feel that people just want to kind of get through it because things are just so easy now and everything's at your fingertips instead of just taking the time. And I don't know if it's just the I don't know, you can't say it's like some type of generational thing, but right? I don't know what it is, but
It
I
was
think
made to be simple, though.
I'm willing to go there.
Here's part
It's
of
a
the,
generational thing.
Here's part of the problem is that unfortunately our
Lights
society is changing to be instant gratification, and that is not a good place to be. So the same thing with whatever it is that you're doing, if you can stem away or turn away in your mind and your activities from instant gratification, you're going to be much farther along.
But that's not as fun.
Oh, I know. Okay.
well, let's talk about this because somebody brought it up. Michael Stahl will bring this up. He said that what about the rent to own? Is there opportunities? Do you deal with rent to owns?
Do not deal with rent to own, and here's the reason why. If you have literally a contract that is rent to own, it's next to impossible to get the tenant evicted if they don't pay. And the reason being is
Wow, that's
you,
why.
when you go into court, the judge is going to say, "Oh, well, you actually have a purchase agreement here." And I can't.
That's how they look at it,
I
huh?
can't evict
So they
on a
can't get
purchase
that
agreement.
person out of the house. So that's why.
That's how they look at it.
Is there a
legally.
lot of property managers now just saying we don't do those anymore, rent to owns?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never done them for that very reason because I was in
I
court.
wouldn't.
I was in court and it
I didn't know
happened.
that.
And
Really?
it happened, of course. And so how do you get around it? There is
Who's
a
that
way,
judge? I'm just
There,
kidding.
there is a way to get around it. Is that you just make two separate documents
Follow
and you
the
don't
damn
have
laws.
them in one. So you make a rental agreement and you make a purchase agreement, but you separate the two of them.
So that's a big deal. I mean, you
Never thought about
everybody
that.
always asks like, well, why are things happening? Usually it's because of a reason, and we just got the reason here from
That's
Rick.
a legit reason.
Yeah. So
I mean,
legislation, right? I mean,
hard to
you're
argue
gonna have
that
people
one.
that come in and fight the attorneys to try to get that person
Yeah.
out. Who wants to go through that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, then you have to, I think, I'm not sure on this, but I think you have to go through district court on it. So much longer process.
So out there we have how many homes that people can rent right now, roughly, would you say? I mean, the MLS doesn't have all of them, but there's other ways that somebody can find a home to rent, correct?
Sure. Obviously, if you watch television, there's rent.com and things like that. And those types of places are normally being advertised in different magazines, and of course online, and they normally are being represent large companies that have huge apartment complexes. You don't see those types of rentals available on the MLS.
Okay. So let's go and talk about real quick on the side of it for the landlord. Like, so if somebody's trying to pick a property manager and they want to, they want to try to get the right information and everybody's in it to make money. It's capitalism, like you just said. So how do you pick the right property manager to work with if you have investment properties?
Okay. First of all, one of the main things that you want to do, obviously, is make sure that both of you are on the same page. So, and that's a huge, that's a pretty big deal. Make sure that the person that you're talking to is somebody that you can see yourself getting along with, and that you are abundantly clear on what your objectives are. You can't, again, expect the property manager to know what it is that you want to have.
I'm sure
happen.
you can't stress that point enough.
I can't stress that point enough.
Because that's the basis of rest, right?
Yeah, that's the basis of is open communication. Let them, from a owner standpoint, let the property manager know exactly what your expectations are and where it is that you want to go. And that's normally the problem with that comes to head in any relationship. Okay, any type of relationship is one person's expectation over the other person's expectation, and what has been communicated and what hasn't. So that's number one. The other thing, I've got a whole laundry list here that would take a really long time.
You got what, 7 or 8 pages? Let's go through it. I'm
just joking.
Line by line.
Yeah, no, but here's the big thing when you're looking at property management firms, and a lot of people don't do this. Make sure that you understand what it is that you're signing. And I hesitate, and I don't know. Let me just show this to you if you can see this.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Can you see all the yellow on there?
Yeah, it says call Rick Raines today.
Yeah,
I see that.
That's pretty much what it says. But
And if you're looking to buy, call Bridget.
but this, all of those lines on there, all of those yellow lines on there, all have to do with compensation for the broker. And this is the standard that's used here in the city from the Las Vegas Association of Realtors. And all of those lines that I highlighted, for the most part, our company doesn't do. So it has to do with setup fees. It has to do with lease renewal fees, advertising fees.
So you're saying basically that you can charge a bunch of fees, and your company is choosing not to be that critical on these fees because you guys obviously want to get people in. And I think it's somewhat like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but you know that there's different levels of like how HOAs and people deal with things, like as far as property management. You guys are trying to be a little bit more lenient. Is that what you're saying on the fees and more lenient in the overall situation?
Okay, the way this came about, and again, for those of you who don't know me, I've been doing this since 1978. And prior to that, I owned some rentals, and I hired a property management company. And then one of the things that I did not like about what they did was they dinged me every time I was turning around. And I would rather have paid a specific percentage and be done with it and forget about it. Okay, so here's what happens, and it's the same example I gave before. Let's say that one company is charging 10% and another company is charging 8%. Well, if you haven't read the fine lines and you find out that they're charging a full month's rent for every time they do a lease renewal, or a full month's rent every time that they put somebody in, or they charge you for termination of getting out, and they charge you for cancellation fees, and they charge you for this, and they charge you for that, guess what? You're paying more than 10%. It's that simple. But people look at the percentage and they think, okay, I'm going to go with the lowest percent. But here's another thing you think about. On a $2,000 a month rental, from 10% to 9%, that's a 1% difference on $200. That's $20 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. And if they're charging 9% but charging all these other fees,
then it's made up somewhere else. It's almost like it's a
It's
wash.
in the fine details, man.
it's not even a wash.
Okay.
It's not even a wash. It's just you don't even realize
You're paying a lot more.
They can charge for every notice that they send out. They'll charge you for notices. And I was reading this over, and I was aghast, so to speak, because I haven't looked at this in probably 15 years, to be honest with you, because we have our own. And they're charging for, if you go to the court on an eviction, they're charging if they have to talk to an HOA. They're charging for.
Wow.
Now, for me,
crazy.
that should all be included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to really look over what it is that you're paying for, and we don't do that. Just so you know,
I would say that's the same for me as lender fees, right? Because you don't know what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And also title fees, right, Esmeralda?
definitely on title fees.
You pay for what you get. Yeah,
What's that?
that's
What's that paperclip fee right there?
Oh, that right there, that's
No,
$30 just
Yeah.
just to have that paperclip. You know why that's so important, right?
We push email.
Because
ads.
that's part of the French Workbench podcast paperclip. So if it's sitting on the table,
I'll be sitting in the podcast Hall of Fame someday.
What's that?
right?
Push the
So
button.
let's talk a little bit about the rental market, and we'll kind of end this up. So people want to know, you know, as a landlord, as a tenant, there's opportunities out there, right? I mean, it's not like you don't have opportunities for a landlord. Obviously, if you buy a house or you own a house as an investment, you're going to have that at your, you know, at any point. But I think more as a tenant, everybody's worried that there's not going to be a lot of homes to rent from, so they stay where they're at, and they're hoping that they, you know, don't have their house sell underneath them. What are you hearing some of these stories with these people that when their house is sold underneath them, where do they go? Like, do they find a place to rent?
I can only assume yes, but I got a call yesterday. I mean,
They don't call you
really.
and say, "Hey, we're out on the street now."
They're in the Las Vegas tunnels.
They're in the tunnels. I'm in the tunnel. Come pick me up.
GPS it.
No, I got a call yesterday. I mean, I got a call yesterday, and this girl was panicked. She goes, "I'm panicked. The owner just called me and told me he's going to sell, and I got to get out." Well, how much can you afford? I can only afford this amount. What do you have? I said, I've got one that's like 5 times that, and I've got one that's 3 times that. That's all I've got. Okay, thanks.
And that's it, huh?
I mean, you know,
That phone crashes down, and it's like, okay, now I got nothing.
yeah. Well, what's funny about that is on our website, we list our available rentals. And right after I got off the phone, one of my agents had heard me and said, "Oh, I've got this property available." And I said, "How much?" And it was within her price range.
Oh, good.
So I quick called her back. It had probably been 4 minutes. And she picked up the phone, and I told her, and I said, "Well, we've got this property." "Oh, you do? That's great. Well, I'm talking to somebody else on the other line to see what they've got." And she says, "Is it 1 story?" "I don't know if it's 1 story." Hold on a second.
It's like being a stock trader.
No, so I asked my agent. I put her on hold. I asked my agent. She goes, "No, it's 2 stories." I call her back, say it's 2 stories. I pick up the line back up. It's 2 stories. "Oh no, I can't do that." Boom. So that's another thing that you need for tenants. You need to keep in mind. You got to be open-minded about if there's anything available in your price range.
Yeah.
You can't be so picky as to. I mean, maybe there was a physical limitation. I don't know.
Yeah, but what if it's like, okay, I got one here in Henderson, or I'm going to go to D Street, and the Henderson just comes.
Okay, Dan.
That's quite extreme, dude.
I'm just saying,
I'll
like,
take-
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, like, you know, what if it's like an area? I'm not saying that D Street's bad. I'm just saying, what if it's a situation where people
I'm not saying it's bad.
don't like the location?
It's not
Overall.
Summerlin.
I'm just okay. So you need to weigh your priorities. Do you want a place to be, or do you want to keep looking?
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I mean, I think people have to sit on the sidelines.
But
So
you're-
if it's not a location that you don't want to be at, right,
And it could be too.
I
That's
understand-
maybe your job. Like
Right.
maybe it's too far.
then you got to kind of make that personal decision. You know, it's
Yeah.
not just the location or what's around it. Maybe it's like you said, maybe it's the job.
Your
Maybe your kids
family.
want to go to a certain school.
School.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that come into
Even
this.
religion.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk Satoshi. We got anything else to say, guys? I think we had a great show today. I want to bring up Rick. How does somebody get a hold of you, man, if they want to get some type of property management or just get a hold of you in general?
Our phone number is 702-916-2200. You can go online, property-mgmt.com. That's short for management, MGMT. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Yeah.
So look us up.
Man, you're on all over social media, huh?
And we're there.
You're there. What about you, Brad?